It's time for a brand new request, and I had a lot of fun putting this together as usual. And this is a brand new show to me, and it's almost laughable to see how this show is not really liked by most people out there. And if you've seen this show, this is a first time thing for me getting into this show for the first time and watching episodes and clips and doing the research and doing the digging and getting to know each individual character from Fanboy and Chum Chum. We're going to talk all about Fanboy and Chum Chum and get to know them, and wherever it is where you're, even if you don't like the show and whether you hate it or love it, I really think that these characters will be a lot of fun to play, and it will count. It's a new show. I think they deserve to be in this game. I think they'll be a lot of fun to play. It's a really funny show. I really enjoy watching. I haven't seen all the seasons. I didn't even complete the season, of course, but I watched a good amount of the show to put some ideas together myself, and I'm not just going to be talking about them. I have a giant list of notes and so much more to go through and just dive into for today, throughout this, for this weekend, for Sunday, for this live premiere. And you guys can stay in here if you want to stay in and hang out and talk about the show. If you want to talk about some other characters that you would like to see added into this game, and if you would also like to request any characters that you would like to see me come up with ideas for and put together a full moveset for, and so much more, let me know in the comments. And you can also post them up in the live premiere chat as you guys listen into this video. It took a long time to put this together. I'm not sure how long this video is going to end up being. It might be a little bit on the longer side, but this is why I already set it up so people could just be able to hang out in here and listen in. And if you want to just check out the moveset, that's just going to be posted going towards the end in the description, so it doesn't spoil all the ideas and people can listen into what I came up with for these characters and so much more. And I'm also going to have the video references and the video examples of what I found and how I came up with some of these ideas and where I got them from in the particular episodes, where you can find certain things that I mentioned and you can watch the episode yourself. You can check out the show if you like. Not many people are just, again, really like this show, and people didn't really think, some people even went as far as saying that this is one of the worst shows and one of their top least favorite shows that they seen in all the Nickelodeon shows that they ever came out with. But I have fun watching this show and I really like it for what it is, and I hope that they consider these two characters, and we don't have that many characters that's introduced. And let's just back it up for a little bit. Just from the newest characters that we have, scroll on down, not a single one of these characters are a duo. They're all coming out individually. We don't have a duo yet, a duo fighter who has yet to be able to appear in a season pass. So maybe we might end up seeing Fanboy and Chum Chum. We could see a different duo in wave 2 if we get there. Hopefully they'll still continue to add more for this game, and they have more in the cards for what the future holds for this game. So I'm looking forward to what they have. So hopefully they'll be able to communicate what their plans are after Iroh and what we can expect for the future for this game. But we're going to be talking about all things I was going to say Bebop and Rocksteady, but I was going to say all things with this duo with Fanboy and Chum Chum, and similar to what we have right now, the Angry Beavers. Right now, as one of the duos, Ren and Stimpy. It's not too many duo fighters, and I think it'll be awesome to see some additional ones get included, but it's just a big question. We don't know what's going to be next for the game. We don't know what's going to happen and what their plans are going to entail for these characters for this roster. But let's start talking about the backstory and get to know each individual character as far as between Fanboy and Chum Chum together as one. And the plot, if you have not seen the show and you're new to it like I am, is basically about two kids who dress up as superheroes and create chaos wherever they go. They both really are they're really huge fans of superhero comics. You know, I'm sure some people out there still read superhero comics and, you know, comics and the manga for anime or whatever you're into. They read the manga and even the superhero comics and so on and so forth for their favorite characters and superheroes and so much more. So they're both really superhero comics. They're fans of superhero comics, and specifically Man-Arctics. Man-Arctica is their favorite superhero, and they read every single comic of their favorite superhero. They're fearless, they're energetic, and they love all things sci-fi and fantasy. And here we go, just to get it started. They wear underwear on the outside of their costumes, and each episode is filled with adventures as they attempt to keep evil away from their town of Galaxy Hills. So that's basically the setting for this show of Galaxy Hills, and it's also the school district of Galaxy Hills where they attend when you go and watch this show. So that's the main plot, and Fanboy and Chum Chum are basically roommates, which I'm about to get ready to talk about each individual character between Fanboy and Chum Chum. So who are they? And if just getting to know these characters before we start diving into what they're going to be capable of, how I think they'll play. So Fanboy, just to start with, Tobias Cranapple. He's a huge fan of comic books, fantasy, science fiction, and action figures, and he's Chum Chum's best friend. And the duo gets, when you go and watch the show, they get along so well with each other, and they're perfect for this game, and they're going to have the perfect teamwork if they get into this game as new reps. So the duo gets along very well with each other, and it's why I think they'll be a great pair to take on as new rosters for potential fighters. And if they do get into the game, just real quick, they shouldn't be separate characters at all. And I think this will just be another awesome duo to have in this game, because we don't really have many duo characters. So that's just a little bit about Fanboy himself. And we're gonna move on to Chum Chum. He's a junior superhero in training, and the other main protagonist of the show, alongside of his best friend and roommate Fanboy that we just finished talking about. He's also his sidekick, and he's also full of fun, and he's actually the smartest of the two, but he always remains loyal to Fanboy regardless, and he backs him up, he has his back, and he'll always be there to protect him. And that's why I think this duo is so perfect together, because they have each other's back. And that's just the kind of person Chum Chum is. Even though he's the smallest, he doesn't like being small, and he's the smallest of the group, of the circle of their friendship circle and things like that. He's the smallest of the group, and even though he doesn't like being small, he still has the confidence, and he's able to back up Fanboy even if he's in trouble. And no matter what, what his takes are and what his opinions and what his thoughts are, he always believes in Fanboy, and they believe in each other, and they always like to uplift each other. And that's what I think was special about Fanboy and Chum Chum, because people are probably not talking about this. Fanboy and Chum Chum share this bond and this special bond together, where they have each other's backs, and they protect each other. And if Fanboy is down, Chum Chum's gonna be there to uplift his spirits, and vice versa. So this is the kind of connection, this is the kind of characters that you want to see be together in a game like this kind of game for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2, and that's what's gonna make them dangerous, which was what my goal was. And I can't wait to share what I just put together for them. So that's just the backstory, that's the plot, that's just the character information as far as the character info, and just getting to know these characters and seeing how they are and how they behave and what they do in these episodes. Every episode is a little bit different, and just like I like just putting out there on just emphasis, you don't have to watch every single episode in order. They get into different things, and there's different adventures and things that they get into with chaos and all types of stuff that they end up getting involved with, and different goofy, silly adventures, and their imaginations are brought to life when you go and watch this show. So it's really a good show. I don't think it's as bad as it's not as bad as most people are saying it is, because I don't know how far did they last, how much did they watch of the show, and You know, maybe certain things they didn't like, maybe the way they look, it's just with the costumes and things like with their underwear backwards and things like that. It's a goofy show, but it's a lot of fun to watch, and I think these two characters are very likable when you go and check this out. So that's the backstory, that's the plot. Now we're going to start getting into the other additional ideas. Let's start talking about the stages that we're going to jump in right now. And just like I was saying, for the other characters that we just keep on going on and on with all the requests, so much fun, we gotta get some new stages. We don't need a stage, any more stage variations. We need new stages, all new stages outside of the two that we're gonna get in the next patch. Cunt Street, if you haven't heard it, Cunt Street from SpongeBob, and then the next additional track, or I was gonna say a track, the next additional stage is also that's coming out with Cunt Street is Timeless Starlight from the campaign. So the stage selection is Galaxy Hills that could be able to beef up this stage, and it'll be a new additional stage that can come out. It doesn't have to come out later, it could come out with the DLC with Fanboy and Chum Chum. So some of the costumes that I end up selecting, it's multiple costumes I ended up finding as far as just some of the characters for both of the duo, and I separated them so that way everybody will be able to see the costumes that y'all want to see between the characters. So that way both are just organized and people can be able to spot them. I was trying to make sure I have everything set. So we have everything, including the episodes of where I found them, so you guys will also be able to spot them. Hopefully my microphone didn't go out, but anyway, I guess I'll find out when I play this back. But for Fanboy, for his first set of costumes, I started with the pirate costume, where Fanboy wears a captain's hat, an eye patch, a peg leg, and a black beard on his face. This is from the Fanboy A'Hoy episode, so I got every single episode marked down. If y'all want to be able to see and go and watch and check out some of these certain episodes that interest you, even from the title names. So these are just Fanboy's costumes first. So his formal outfit is his next costume, where he wears a purple tailcoat, green dress shirt, green cuffs, purple top hat, and a bow tie from the normal day episode. It's a random stage. And just like I always like to do, just with some of these characters, switch some the first DLC character. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. He has 3 different costumes, and then plus his regular, and then of course Fanboy and Chum Chum. I just never post them. I just never post them. The mind control skins, of course, they're going to be in the mind control costumes. Of course, they're going to be in the game if they ever get added by chance in the near future. They're going to also be bonus costumes as well. So I just threw that out there. The next costume, I wanted to add in the blueberry disguise costume, where Fanboy and Chum Chum disguise themselves as blueberries to work for Man-Arctica in his workshop. This is like a Christmassy sort of episode. It was called a Very Brrry Icemas episode. Little silly name. A Very Brrry Iceman, or almost like a berry, but it's like it's for the winter vibes for the Christmas episode. So a Very Brrry Icemas episode, I got the blueberry disguise costume, and I added that one in, and I also slipped in a video example if you guys want to see how it looks, where they're disguised as blueberries. And then this one particular costume, the Fannihilator, it's almost like the Annihilator, the Fannihilator Super Villian. I added this later on as one of their final moves, but I don't want to spoil it yet. But I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do with this, so if it's not part of their one part of their move set, which I actually added it to as well as a costume, if it's not part of a special move, then it can also be a cool costume that Fanboy can wear. And I'm going to keep it on this particular costume because it almost makes me think of them, because he has this sort of cape on him for like a superhero. So The Fannihilator Super Villain. I think this will be one of his best costumes for Fanboy. So from this episode, this was when Fanboy and Chum Chum got into a debate over whether superheroes or supervillains would be good for them. And Fanboy actually went and chose the dark side. And he transformed into a villain in this episode, while Chum Chum chose to be a hero, which I'm going to get into and you'll find out when I get to his costumes, or his alternate costumes. And then last but not least, Fanboy's last costume I added in, Frankenstein, his Frankenstein Halloween costume, where Fanboy wears a dark purple suit, ripped mask with the same gloves and the shirt. And this is from There Will Be Shrieks Halloween special episode. And this was actually what I found out. There was no other Halloween special episode other than this one. So this is the only time where that you really get to see them dress up in a Halloween costume. So Fanboy was Frankenstein, and then Chum Chum also had his own Halloween costume. So we're gonna get into his costumes next. So let's check out and talk about Chum Chum's costumes. So two different ones, or some of the same, or three of the same at that. I gave Chum Chum his pirate costume, his costume also just with Fanboy. So with Chum Chum's pirate costume, he wears a paper hat with a gold earring and a black beard. And then I also slipped in the blueberry disguise costume, just like I mentioned, when they were trying to be in disguise to try to avoid getting spotted by Man-Arctica in his workshop from the Icemas episode that I just mentioned for earlier. And then his Super Chum costume, remember when Chum Chum decided to be a hero, and then he went against Fanboy, who chose to be a villain with the Fannihilator. So Chum Chum turns into Super Chum as the hero to face off against Fanboy in this episode. So I think this was one of the coolest episodes and my personal favorite. I didn't watch too many of the episodes, but I think this heroes versus villains episode was really cool to see, and it gives you so many ideas of what they could possibly do. It could possibly be in their moveset, but I did something different with this as well, with this particular costume and this setup from the heroes versus villains episode, which you'll find out later. And I also went with Chum Chum's formal outfit, where at a party he wears a yellow short sleeve jacket, red bow tie, and a yellow top hat with a red ribbon from the normal day episode. So similar costumes, but they're gonna look completely different. And it's perfect because they're gonna be a duo. So having some kind of similar costumes, but they look different, and they're just taken from the same episodes, but they all have a different look. And then his Halloween costume, Chum Chum dressed up as a werewolf for Halloween, and then There Will Be Shrieks Halloween special. So he dresses up as a werewolf with his hair slicked back. He has gloves with his claws, or on the claws, sharp teeth, and a sports beard. So you guys can check that out from the There Will Be Shrieks Halloween special episode. So those are the costumes. It's so many costumes that they can continuously add. They don't have to just end it with just a couple costumes. SpongeBob and Patrick still have the most costumes still to this day, and I'm not sure if there's going to be any character that's going to be added into the game to catch up with them, considering the pre-order bonus with the elastic waistbands I always mention. It's so many costumes that they have from these two special characters with SpongeBob and Patrick. They got the most costumes out of everybody else in the game, even though they have some really good ones like this one. For band geeks, it's dope. But let's move on to the taunts and animations. I really had fun. I really wanted to make these as interesting as possible, and I also wanted to make them funny, and I wanted them to make sense, because this was a new show for me. This was a challenge. The taunts and animations, and then the catchphrases, I couldn't really find anything as far as their special catchphrases or what they say to each other. You know, everybody, different characters, they have different catchphrases and things like that. Just with Gerald with his moonlight bass on, you can find cool things like that reference. It's cool how they pick that stuff up. But for Fanboy and Chum Chum, I had a lot of trouble just trying to come up with catchphrases or some of the things that they say for the iconic quotes and things. So Fanboy says, "Fear not, And then Chum Chum says, "We're gonna rule the school." So I thought those would be really cool add-ons that they can add. And then I slipped in a duo taunt. So as an idea, Fanboy and Chum Chum really love the Frosty Freezy Freeze drinks. So I thought as a duo taunt, as a cool idea and reference the show as a perfect idea, Fanboy and Chum Chum, since they love these drinks, the Frosty Freezy Freezes, they can add the animation and drink their favorite drinks, you know, their Frosty Freezy Freezes, and they can add in the animation where their brains shatter, because when they drink these, you know how you eat ice cream, things like that, you eat ice cream too fast, you get like a brain freeze. But they have those kind of animations, and they experience that when they drink these freezy drinks, or freezy freeze drinks, and their brains shatter. You can really see this happen in the show, especially when they drink them and they can't get enough, because the rule is only one per customer. They can't break that rule, and they just can't get enough of them, and it's just like obsessed with these kind of drinks. They just love drinking them. So I thought that developers can add that animation as a bit of a brain freeze to have their mind shatter. You can see what's inside their skulls and see their brain shatter. Almost similar to, I was thinking about Rocco a little bit with his uplight when he's on the ground, with his brain popping up. See how they did something like that with his animation? They can definitely have their brain shatter as an idea when they drink the Frosty Freezy Freezes. So now the winning and losing animations that I came up with for Fanboy and Chum Chum. So the winning animation as a duo, the money dance or the dollar dance, do the money dance, do the money dance. It's so hilarious. You guys got to check this out. So I got the video clip. If y'all want to check it out when they do the money dance, this will be a really fun, a really funny and a cool winning animation for Fanboy and Chum Chum. They can do their money dance from the show, and you say, dude, they just love money. They say it looks good, it tastes weird. Do the money dance, do the money dance. They like to perform to share their love for money, almost similar to how greedy Mr. Krabs is. It'll be awesome for him to meet those characters, Mr. Krabs and Fanboy and Chum Chum. So this was from the Dollar Day episode, and I got the video example posted in the description that y'all can be able to click on as well. And Fanboy's losing animation, I gave Fanboy and Chum Chum their separate losing animations as an idea, but they're still gonna cry, you know, when they lose, when they're defeated. So you can check out Fanboy's losing animation, him crying because he didn't have a present in time for Chum Chum's birthday. It's from the present not accounted for episode, and you can check the example out if you want to. And the same thing goes for Chum Chum for his losing animation video example. You could check that out as well, that I have posted, that you guys will see once the premiere is done. So this is from what you can see Chum Chum cry from the Fanboy episode, where Chum Chum cried because he didn't have a neck to be biting. Just read it, just explain this. Chum Chum was sad because he wanted to become a vampire, just like in one of the episodes. He wanted to become the Fanboy episode. Chum Chum wanted to become a vampire just like Fanboy, but Chum Chum doesn't have a neck, so he was crying about it, and he actually tried to get surgery so he could probably get a neck of his own, which was crazy. So you guys can see that in the video example. So that's his winning. That's their winning and losing animation. Their winning animation is going to be together, of course, and they're going to win together, and they're going to lose together, of course, because they're a duo. Now, just as I always say, my favorite part of these requests is trying to come up with a moveset for these characters, and these characters are going to fight together, and you'll also be able to switch between Fanboy and Chum Chum depending on who you want to play with. And I also gave them duo attacks and one duo ability together, where they'll be able to move and attack together as well. And I did also come up with some exclusive moves separately for Fanboy to be able to attack and also deal damage, while also Chum Chum can have his own unique moves whoever is playable, similar to how when you could switch between the Angry Beavers, Daggett, and Norbert. I wanted to design them and come up with moves that made sense for them from the show. So we're gonna get started. That was the goal. I don't want them to be separate characters. It's Fanboy and Chum Chum, so they definitely about to be a duo. So Fanboy and Chum Chum on the battlefield with their own set of moves, and they're gonna be playable when you switch between them. So let's start, before we start talking about the individual moves between Fanboy and Chum Chum. Let's put on Ren and Stimpy for a little bit. His animation, it's just when you pick him. You see it? This is funny. So dual attacks. So some dual attacks we want to start with. So I gave them 3 different ones for just different dual attacks they can do together. The first move that I decided to come up with, bopping baddies. And this word bop, they'll bop you. It's just like it's like another word for a punch. They bopping the zombies and things like that, and they'll bop you. The first bop. It's just so many different things that goes on in the show. So when they punch, so stand for a bopping. So this is a perfect little name for a little attack. Bopping baddies. A dual attack, similar to how they bopped all the zombie clones that was attacking the city in the Attack of the Clones episode. You guys can check that out too. Fanboy and Chum Chum will be able to bop their enemies using boog arms. So those little giant arms, and they'll be able to punch you and just bop you a couple times. So they'll be able to punch together and be able to they'll punch in 2 different directions. Or maybe they can also have them punch in the same direction. If you're facing the right side, they'll both start bopping you from the right side, and then vice versa from the left side. They can design it either way for their bopping baddies with their bop arms or their boog arms. So, and Boog is actually a character in the show that you'll find out more about as well. But the next dual attack, I gave this. I thought I wasn't gonna put this in, but I added the friendship braids as a dual attack. The bond between Fanboy and Chum Chum, just like I was talking about at the beginning, they're just so tight with each other and they're close. The bond between Fanboy and Chum Chum can never be broken. So with this move, they'll be united and be able to dash forward, pushing through any enemy or obstacle in their way. And speaking of that, being able to dash forward, see how Ren and Stimpy's overpowered car, when that still isn't fixed, it's so crazy in the game. See how they ride in that car? They'll be able to push forward and go full screen with the friendship bracelet. What's it? Friendship bracelet. The friendship braids. Talking too fast. The friendship braids will be able to. I was thinking about the Kingdom Hearts vibes. Wrong game. The friendship braids is gonna be able to be a devastating force. I was trying to think of someone outside of just Ren and Stimpy's car, because they're both riding in the car, to be able to go full screen to dash forward. It was Cat Dog, because they had their own little dashing move too, as well, with their little dog pile move. I was thinking about them in the mix. But with the friendship braids, they'll be able to plow through enemies. So you can check this out in 2 tickets to Paradise. That's what it's called. Silly little title name. And then the last duo ability that they do together, I gave them heroic flight, where Fanboy and Chum Chum can escape harm by flying in the air for a brief period of time. See how Korra can just keep on with her side special? It's not going to be as great as hers, but maybe it can last just as long. Maybe it can be something similar to that. That's what I was thinking about. Korra's side special, because she can glide with a little bit of her fire bending. So with Fanboy and Chum Chum's heroic flight, they'll be able to stay in the air just as long as Korra can stay in the air for her little glide across the screen with her fire bending with her side special in the air. I think she got some good doing on the ground. I forgot. Ground special. Ground side special too. So I wanted to make those as 3 different duo attacks. Now we're going to start talking about the individual moves that I gave them. So 3 different moves additionally for Fanboy and Chum Chum to add on to the other 3 duo ability moves that they'll be able to do together. So let's start with Fanboy himself. I gave him Wacky Pants, where Fanboy becomes ambidextrous, and see when someone's ambidextrous, they can use both hands when someone's ambidextrous. But in this episode, it's called Fanbidextrous, where you can see Fanboy use his magical special stretchy arms in the episode. So I gave him Wacky Pants as an attack, so he can use his 2 stretchy arms to attack both sides with the pants from long range. And they can also be able to upgrade it, where since he's going to be Fanbidextrous, he's going to be able to grab you and pull you in, things like that. It can also work like that as a different variation to pull you in. His next move, I gave him Danger Toys. So Fanboy can use a variety of toys that he can bring out during the battle that can fire homing missiles, a flamethrower, and lasers that can bounce off the walls and ricochet. I was thinking about his laser gnome for Zim. See what I'm saying? To make it almost similar, reference some of the characters of what they have. It's gonna be it's gonna be better than Zim's laser gnomes, which was his down special. So with these toys, you can be able to see the different abilities with these toys that he can be able to use out, that he'll be able to bring out. I thought this would be pretty cool, and they're like action figures in a way, since they're into this kind of stuff. So it's the perfect move to add and give to one of the duo characters. And then his next move, the super underwear. Fanboy can use his underwear. This is real. From the Brain Freeze episode. Oh, I had a typo in here. But in this, he uses his super underwear in the Brain Freeze. In the Brain Freeze episode, you can see him use this ability. So with this giant burst wave, he's going to be able to push back nearby enemies. So I thought this would be something fitting for one of these characters. I wanted to give it to both of them, but I thought it would be better for Fanboy. Those are the moves that I gave for Fanboy, and then plus we already just talked about the duo attacks. Now we're going to move to Chum Chum. And what's cool is that Chum Chum actually ended up learning some of these cool, unique abilities in the show from the Brain Freeze episode again. The heat vision. Fanboy, I was going to say Chum Chum accent. Fanboy did not have these kind of abilities that Chum Chum had, because Chum Chum learned this in the Brain Freeze episode. Chum Chum had the power of heat vision, and it made me think of also how Jenny fires lasers from her eyes. Almost like a sort of Superman sort of reference in a way. Chum Chum had heat vision, and he learned an additional ability with invisibility. So we're going to talk about both of those. Those were both in the same. They were almost in the same episode as well. And it was another episode, Fanboy Friend episode, where you could see Chum Chum turn invisible as well. So you can see him get these kind of powers from his heat vision. So with his heat vision, Chum Chum is going to be able to fire an energy beam from his eyes while on the ground or in the midair. And this move can also inflict the burn status element. I always like bringing it up with Aang side special, and then with Azula. If she hits you with her slime version of her fireball, it'll burn you. And I think Zuko also has with his dancing dragon punch, which is almost similar to the falcon punch basically. If he hits you with it successfully, it'll burn you, and you have the burn status element. And when you're burned, you're gonna start taking damage per second. So with his invisibility ability, Chum Chum is going to be able to temporarily turn invisible to avoid any damage while active on the field. So if he's not active, he won't be able to use his invisibility. So I thought this would be something cool to give to Chum Chum. And he asked, just again, he didn't learn, Fanboy didn't have these kind of abilities that Chum Chum did. And I feel like Chum Chum might have the better abilities over Fanboy, because he learned all this stuff in the show. And something just to pay tribute to their favorite superhero, which I thought was pretty cool. I call this I'm Man-Arctica, where Chum Chum can attack enemies with his favorite superhero, Man-Arctica. It's not just his, it's both of theirs. But Man-Arctica to the rescue. So he'll be able to attack you with the action figure from Man-Arctica. So it'll be a cool little move, and it can do a good amount of damage. Similar to how Garfield brings out his favorite toy, and they still implemented it for this game, for Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, from the first game and the second game. So I was thinking about those vibes too. So why not have Chum Chum or Fanboy and Chum Chum bring their favorite, their iconic hero that they look up to, Man-Arctica, their favorite superhero, implemented into the moveset. So I thought that'll be something cool to give to Chum Chum as an additional ability. Now the recovery move, this is something as a duo. I could pick this up right off the bat from watching the intro. The intro is really cool to watch. I watched it a few times too. The recovery move for Fanboy and Chum Chum, I selected the bubblegum balloon. And I got it from the Fanboy and Chum Chum theme song. And if you go into the timestamp between 4 and 6 seconds, you could see them blow a bubble. They were chewing bubblegum and they blew a bubble and they started floating in the air. I didn't want to just have them fly. I wanted to give them some kind of goofy sort of recovery move that'll be pay tribute to the show. So when they chewed the bubblegum and they blew the giant bubble, they started floating in the air. So I thought this would be a perfect, funny recovery move. This was one of the first moves that I ended up finding and coming up with because I watched the intro and the intro theme song. Because you can see them float into the air. I thought this would be a cool little duo sort of recovery move. Now, the last but not least, the one thing that I wanted to do with this, I had so many different ideas. It's so many different situations with these supers and the animations that they come up with when they design these characters. Fanboy and Chum Chum, I feel like they can have multiple supers. So the first one that I ended up coming up with was Chumzilla, where Chum Chum can become a giant and eat and crush all enemies himself. And a character I was thinking about is Reptar, because Reptar becomes a giant and he wreaks havoc. When you hit someone with Reptar Super, he wreaks havoc throughout the city. You can hear people screaming in the background with the city on fire and things like that. And then he'll spew a giant burst of flame all over the screen. So I really thought this would probably make sense for Chum Chum to become Chumzilla and be able to crush everybody in sight. He even scared Fanboy to death when he's going to get ready to crush him, and he was going to eat him. So it was cool to see this. So that's Chumzilla for his special. But the next thing, I didn't want to just settle with that. I just wanted to throw that out there. So I'm just going to keep it listed as an option. But I didn't want to just have that as a solo. That's just for Chum Chum. But I think the best one I'm going to stay to is Fannihilator and Super Chum. And if you go back to the costumes, Fannihilator and Super Chum, those were alternate costumes that I gave the two characters. But I think instead of just having them be alternate costumes, I think it'll be best if this was a super for them to become the hero and villain together and be able to wreck all that, just to go crazy on the battlefield. And just like I like doing with these characters, instead of just using the super and the animation, well, you hit or miss and it's over for the super or the ultimate or the final smash, things like that. I want to make the characters playable and manually be controlled while they're moving, like how Jenny can move around with her super, and then well, not her super, but her recovery, and then Jimmy Neutron with his hover car that he uses for his recovery. Just the mobility, they can do that with some of these characters to make them unique. So with Fannihilator and Super Chum, this super move, Fannihilator and Super Chum unite. They both can transform to their respective imaginary hero and villain and become playable to attack all enemies. Fannihilator can fire his ultra mega death ray, while Super Chum can use his mighty fist to deal massive damage with each punch. So if you're playing, if whoever's active, and you can be able to switch between Fannihilator and Super Chum. So they're gonna definitely be inescapable. Because Fannihilator is gonna be blasting you up with his Ultra Mega Death Ray from the Heroes versus Villains episode, and I also picked this up from the Tall Tale Toy episode. So I dropped it. The Tall Tale Toy episode was where you can see Chumzilla when he's getting ready to crush Fanboy. But just what I was saying, I didn't want to have Chumzilla just be the only super that they have. They need to have something together. So Fannihilator and Super Chum together as one for a dangerous super is definitely going to be one of the best in the game. And they can do something like that. And even if they're not playable with manual control, they can still do that sort of kind of animation where you can see Super Chum and Fannihilator just go crazy with Fannihilator shooting his Ultra Mega Death Ray and Super Chum just punching, comboing you for a little bit for a quick little animation finish. And you guys can check it out from the video example that I posted with this super. And I think this is going to be one of the coolest supers in the game, with them being both a hero and villain together. That's a dangerous combination, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to see them implement these characters for Fanboy and Chum Chum with Fannihilator and Super Chum. They're imaginative superheroes and they're super villains, because they couldn't figure out who was better, what was best for them to be a super villain of the world for Galaxy Hills, or a superhero and a protector of the Galaxy Hills to stop all evil. So they both couldn't make their minds up, and they had different opinions, so they settled it one-on-one. But it would be awesome to see them as a super for the ultimate attack. That's everything that I could come up with as far as Fanboy and Chum Chum. This request was a lot of fun. I cannot wait to get into the others. I have so many other characters and requests to get to, but let me know what you guys think. I like this show for what it is. I'm gonna just say a couple things. I like this show for what it is, and we need some new characters outside of, I'll take Fanboy and Chum Chum over a SpongeBob character, TMNT, or an Avatar character any day for a DLC, because we don't need any more of those characters stacking up in the season pass and these future waves. If there's going to be another way, Fanboy and Chum Chum seems more ideal, plus they're new reps, and I think they'll be a lot of fun to play, and they got some really good fighter potential. I haven't really seen anybody talk about Fanboy and Chum Chum. I just haven't. I haven't seen anybody bring up anything as far as these characters as a character that they want to, that as far as a video to put together for moves and ideas for. And I think this duo is a lot of fun. They're going to be a lot of fun. I wanted to make them fun. I wanted to make them a little bit goofy and pay homage to the show, and also make it make sense to make the moves realistic. And it's actually what they do. They're all about the action figures being a superhero, and their imagination is just what's going to make them dangerous, because whatever they imagine, it comes to life. And that's why I think that's what's going to make them dangerous, and they will be able to destroy most of these characters that y'all can see on this screen that's in the roster. Fanboy and Chum Chum is definitely going to be a great character to add into the mix for this roster. We gotta get some new shows. It's time for some new shows. It's time for some new reps, instead of the same characters getting into the game and the same shows getting representation. It's not about the 3 shows. We got 3 shows from the same reps that's already represented in the game, while we're still missing so many great shows that can get in. And regardless if you don't like the show, cannot say that these characters are not going to be fun to play with. You cannot say that these characters are not going to be some kind of force to be reckoned with another duo stacking up. We don't really have that many duo characters in this game. Let's take a look. We got Angry Beavers and Ren and Stimpy. Bebop is nowhere to be found. Because guess what? It's Rocksteady. It ain't Bebop and Rocksteady. It's Rocksteady. So that duo's gone. We only got 2 duo characters with Angry Beavers Daggett and Norbert from the old school duos, Ren and Stimpy and Angry Beavers. What's stopping them from adding more duo characters? But we just don't know if they're going to get in the game. Hopefully they can, but we'll see. But let me know what y'all think about this character in the show. And I really had fun just getting to know Fanboy and Chum Chum, watching the show, just the silliness, and just seeing their bond for each other. They're close, their connection is tight. It's just gonna make them that much of a big deal and a threat on the battlefield.